Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode here. This is my latest, either you could call it an album spotlight, you can call it a collection spotlight. So basically, I'm having this new series on the channel where I just pick pieces from my collection and talk about them in depth. But this is a newer release, and so I wanted to give it its space and talk about my experience with it lately. It's come out in the recent few weeks, maybe a month or so it's been out. This is the new Haken live set, Liveforms, an Evening with Haken. Fantastic release. This is one of my all-time favorite bands, modern progressive metal. If you're at all interested in modern progressive rock and metal, this is one of the must-hear bands, I think, of the modern scene. Just everything about them is fantastic. They have a great combination of classic progressive rock influences, but modern tinges of like great metal, great harder edge to it at times, and a great evolution throughout their catalog. I think they have one of the most consistent catalogs in modern progressive rock. Just every album is fantastic in its own right. Everyone has their own favorites. You know, there's no like universal choice that everyone thinks this is their best album. I mean, a lot of people probably point to The Mountain, which is kind of right in the midpoint of their discography now. But I know there's a lot of lovers of their early stuff like Aquarius and Visions, and I know there's a lot of people who love kind of their newer, more heavier edge that they've done on Vector and Virus and those types of albums, or their 80s influence on Affinity is really well loved. And I actually really love Fauna, which some people thought was maybe a dip compared to their previous albums, but I just thought was completely consistent with their catalog and one of their best releases, bringing more of a modern edge even to some of their catalog, to what they've done to this point. But this is a really fantastic live release. I opted for this is a 3 CD Blu-ray package, I believe. It also was available in vinyl, but when it comes to live albums, I talked about this a little bit in my Gentle Giant live album discussion. I prefer a visual component to my live shows. That's why I always opt for like the Blu-ray. I never tend to listen to live albums just audio only, like listening to the CD or listening to the vinyl. I tend to like to watch a concert film and be able to see the performers play live. If I'm just listening, I probably prefer the studio recordings because to me they sound just a bit better and it's more what the artist intended for the song to sound like, and I just really like a crisp, clean studio performance. That's just kind of my own bias, but the band does an incredible job on this. I've been watching the Blu-ray in particular, and the 5.1 surround mix is fantastic, and it's a really great set list. They start with the whole Fauna album. That's what they were touring at this time, so they do the entire album in one shot right at the start of the concert. And I believe the vinyl version is just the Fauna part of the show. That they didn't do a huge vinyl, edition. It would have probably been over several LPs. They decided to condense it just to cover the Fauna part, if I am remembering that right. But for the CD release, they have the whole show. And Fauna is just really the first half. And, of course, they do kind of an encore for this first part of the set of Crystallized, which is one of their greatest epics that came off their Restoration EP, which was reworkings of their first kind of demo that they did back in the early days of their band. And is a wonderful prog epic, just with all the hallmarks of what you'd expect from them. I love when they do those kind of Gentle Giant-y type sections with the vocals and with kind of a quirky element, and they do that in Crystallize, which is fantastic. So it's a really fun part of the concert. I really love the whole Fauna set. I think it's played to perfection. They stick pretty close to the script there. It sounds pretty close to just how it sounds on record on the studio recording, and it's really impressive to see how these musicians are able to recreate it in a live environment. I think Ross Jennings deserves special attention and mention because he's just such a great front man. I love his vocals. I think they're all fantastic throughout the whole performance. Like, not any note like off pitch or sounding bad. He's just right on target, and it just sounds perfect, and he has that charisma, and he's able to really lead the crowd in a fantastic way like any great frontman can. And the band is just fantastic behind him. They all play their instruments. They have this kind of virtuosic ability. You've got Charlie Griffiths on one side of the stage, and Richard Henshaw on the other side, so kind of dual guitarists in the band. You've got Connor Green playing bass, you've got Ray Hearn on the drums, and then Peter Jones doing the keyboard work. And they're all fantastic in their own rights. There's many points where Ross will kind of back off the stage, and then it's just focused on the instrumental part of the song, where they're just playing incredibly well together, and they just are really tight as a band. You know, there's no point where it sounds sloppy or messy or like they missed their cue or anything like that. You know, it's just really dialed in, and you can tell that they, at this point when this was recorded, that they just had the show on lock, that this was really dialed in, and they were really in the pocket, in the groove for these performances. The second part of the performance, they do a second set, they kind of take a break and then come back. It's just kind of like a greatest hits of their catalog prior to Fauna, of course. They do all kinds of great stuff there. Puzzle Box is how they start that set, a fantastic track from the Vector album. Earthrise is a fantastic track from Affinity. It's more in a lighter, kind of poppier direction, which I think does really well after this really heavy, complex song like Puzzle Box. Cockroach King is, of course, a total classic in their catalog from The Mountain. That's where they really dial into those kind of gentle, giant-y type a cappella vocals and quirkiness and jazzy sounds, and don't sacrifice kind of the heavy epicness that they're known for as well. It's just everything that they're about is really packed into that song in a fantastic way. We've got Nil by Mouth, which is a fantastic instrumental, very hard-hitting, very genty, just very cool and impressive to see them play this incredibly intricate music. That's from the Vector album as well. 1985 from Affinity. This really showcases the 1985, you know, the 80s feel that this record had, and is really bright and fun, and has just a really cool, almost cheesy 80s, you know, a bit in the middle, this instrumental section. So that's one of my favorite instrumental sections from the band, this like cool 80s cheese, but done in a cool Haken way. I really love The Strain and Canary Yellow kind of provide this great selection of tracks from Virus, which is maybe an underrated album. And Canary Yellow is just beautiful and kind of has this electronic element. There's a solo spot between these where the Ray Hearn and Peter Jones are able to play off each other, the kind of drummer keyboardist together. And then we get into Drowning in the Flood, which is a fantastic track from Aquarius, one of the epic tracks towards the end of the record that has some cool instrumental moments, some heavier sections, and some really soaring anthemic parts. And then they close it out with, of course, Visions, which is the big epic from their second album that everyone loves, that goes through so many different moods and movements and is just an epic piece of music. And so it's all pulled off incredibly well. It's a lot of fun. I think Fauna, they play really straight and just play through the album, and then they're able to have a little bit more fun and a little bit let loose a little bit in that second set, and it really works fantastic. Love the sound. It just sounds really great and pristine, and it's just a fantastic release. I really appreciate it. The packaging, I like the cover art. I think that's a lot of fun with the band there, and you get some cool stuff inside. You know, this is the you get some like crowd footage and the different stuff here and the different layouts. So fantastic release, and I'm really pleased with it. I think the band really knocked it out of the park, as they tend to, just solidifying their spot as one of the best and brightest in modern progressive rock and metal. And I highly recommend this album if you're interested in the live music, if you want to see one of the best modern bands at their peak. I think you can't go wrong with this. I saw them live on Cruise to the Edge this year and last year, and they impressed both times. The first Cruise to the Edge I went on last year, they pretty much did this set, but separated into two shows. There might have been a couple songs missing or whatnot, but the first night they played on Cruise to the Edge, they did the whole Fauna album, and then the second night they played on the pool stage and did pretty much the second set for the most part. So it was cool to be able to experience that, and then to see it performed on this live set, which just brings it to life even more. So heartily recommend. I think this is an incredible release. Go out and get it if you haven't gotten it yet. Let me know in the comments if you have your thoughts on this release, if you've seen it or heard it. I'd be fascinated to know. Just another home run from one of my favorite bands. What more could you ask for? This is proof positive that there's incredible, great music being made nowadays. It's not all just from back in the 70s. There's a golden age happening before our very eyes. So very excited, and hopefully you guys appreciated this content and will stick around for future episodes. If this is your first video, feel free to subscribe. I try to do videos fairly regularly, about 2 or 3 a week at least, talking about the biggest and brightest in progressive rock that I just absolutely love and can't wait to share with you guys. A weekly news update, episodes where I'm showing my wife progressive rock and she's enjoying that. So fantastic stuff ahead. I'm really excited for what's coming, and hopefully you guys are out there enjoying the music. So thank you guys, and I'll catch you guys in a future episode. Bye everybody.